Hey Nina, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. I was actually thinking about Susie the other day. Remember her? Our very sweet Cocker Spaniel, like Lady from the Lady and the Tramp.
Mhm.
I really adored her. And when she passed away, I think that might have been my very first real grief. There was this deep pain in my belly that I still remember so clearly today.
Oh, yes, I remember that too. Definitely my first grief for sure. And pets have that kind of power, don't they? They can break your heart when they're gone, but they can also save lives. And I recently heard about a girl with diabetes whose dog alerted her family just in time when her blood sugar dropped dangerously low. And that dog literally saved her life.
That's incredible. And it's not just stories like that. Science actually backs this up, of course. Research shows that dogs can smell changes in our bodies, like shifts in cortisol and blood sugar, and they can sense when something isn't right long before we do. So that's quite amazing.
Mm. So today we're diving into this connection between pets and grief, how they comfort us, heal us, and sometimes even protect us in ways we don't fully understand.
Yeah. And actually, this whole idea came from our mom. She suggested we do an episode about how pets can be lifesavers after loss, and we both thought that was a great idea.
So here we are. Whether you're a dog lover, a cat person, or just curious, we hope you'll find something meaningful in this conversation about grief, healing, and the comfort of pets.
Yes, because our mom is right. We both know how much getting a dog helped her when she was grieving her husband.
So true. Her dog really has been such a blessing for her after everything, and it has been for you too, right?
Yeah, for me personally, it was a huge comfort. When my husband passed, we had two dogs, two Frenchies, and honestly, they were like therapy, also during the time he was sick. And there are a lot of reasons for that. I mean, you have to get outside for walks, you get fresh air, and they don't ask questions or expect you to explain yourself. They're just there, steady, loyal, and full of love.
And that's the thing. They give you so much comfort, and they also give you a reason to go on with your everyday life in a way.
They really do. So much that even, as I might have mentioned, brought them both with me to the hospital garden when my husband was admitted so that they could meet their dad and them, of course. And they also stayed with me at my aunt's place when we had to move closer to the hospital where he got his treatments.
Yeah, I remember that. You had to carry Igor, your oldest
Mm.
dog, up and down the stairs to the fifth floor where our aunt lives every day, several times a day actually, when you were taking them for a walk, because she doesn't have an elevator in her building, right?
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Oh well, it was totally worth it despite the hassle with all the stairs. There's something about having that extra heartbeat in the house. So I just had to bring them, the sound of paws on the floor, even just their breathing. And the Frenchies know how to breathe.
Yes, they do.
It fills the emptiness in a way that makes you feel less alone, and life felt more real in a way when I had them there.
Yeah, I get that. And I think that's such a good point. And it is therefore also a great topic to include in our podcast, I think, because so many people can relate to this. Because animals really do give you something that humans can't, at least not in the same way. They don't try to fix you or say the wrong things, they are just there. And that kind of unconditional presence can be incredibly healing. Plus, they force you into a routine when everything inside you just wants to stop.
Studies have shown that interacting with a dog can lower your cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase oxytocin, which is the bonding hormone. And that's the same chemical that helps new mothers bond with their babies, for instance. And that's why just stroking a cat or a dog can feel so soothing.
Sure. Dogs are little angels in our lives, or animals, I should say. And I must also add, it's not just the hormones, it's also the movement, as you said. If you're grieving, you might isolate yourself or stop going outside altogether. But a dog doesn't give you that option. They need you to get up to feed them, to walk them. And that movement and fresh air can really help with the heaviness that comes with grief.
Yeah, it absolutely can. I remember days when the only reason I got dressed was because the dogs had to go out. And once you're outside, you might exchange a smile with someone or even have a quick conversation with another dog owner,
Mm-hmm.
That tiny bit of human contact can feel like a lifeline when you're deep in loss.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because I think animals can connect you to other people in such a gentle way. You're not walking up to someone and saying, "Hey, I'm grieving. Can you please help me?" You're just chatting about your dogs, maybe. But under the surface, that small interaction might be the only social connection that you have that day.
Yeah, and of course, it doesn't even have to be dogs. I know someone who adopted a rescue cat. She said the exact same thing. The house didn't feel so painfully empty anymore. It gave her something to care for, which shifted the focus in a way from her pain to its needs. And there's actually also research showing that a cat's purring can lower stress and even slow down your heart rate. It's like this built in sound therapy.
I can see that. When you're grieving, you can get stuck in your own head and replay things over and over again. But if you got an animal, they bring you into the present moment. You have to notice them. You can't ignore a dog shoving a toy into your lap or a cat knocking something over on the counter or the table.
That's true. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just their presence. You can be lying on the couch crying, and they'll curl up next to you without judgment, no awkwardness, no trying to make you stop, just silent comfort. And I think there's something sacred about that kind of companionship.
Yeah. It's like they love you in a way that isn't conditional on you getting better or moving on. They're just with you in whatever state that you're in.
That's why I think for a lot of people, a pet after loss isn't just nice, it can actually be part of their healing process. Not a replacement for the person they've lost, of course, but a reminder that life is still here, still warm, still breathing.
And maybe that's the most powerful thing. They give you proof that you're still capable of love and connection, even when you feel broken.
When I think about it, there are so many people I know who have dogs, and quite a few of them have gone through the same as me. They've lost someone, and they found so much comfort in their pets.
Yeah, it's not just about having a pet, it's that constant presence, a heartbeat in the house, as you said, and also the connection they can create with others.
Yeah, exactly. When you can meet up with someone to walk the dogs, there's just something so healing in that. I've gotten really close to two women over the last few years. I know I've mentioned them before. Both of them lost their husbands to cancer, and we all have dogs, all girls, bitches, the dogs, I mean.
Yeah, important clarification there.
Yeah. But honestly, the dogs have become as close as we have. It's so sweet to see. We bring them everywhere, to the forest, to the beach, and even sometimes when we visit each other also.
I love that. It's like the dogs built their own little support group alongside yours.
Yeah, totally. We're a gang, all 6 of us. But it's such a gift to have friends where bringing the dog is just as natural as bringing yourself. Not everyone would appreciate me showing up with a dog every single time. Some people would probably roll their eyes. But with these friends, the dogs are part of the invitation.
That is very nice.
Yeah, and our mom also, I really feel like her dog saved her, as we talked about. I mean, they do everything together. Okay, yes, she's probably the most spoiled dog in the universe,
Mm-hmm.
but still, that bond is so special. And it's beautiful for us to see too, because we know our mom isn't alone. She has her dog and they have each other.
Yeah, they really do have each other. And I actually talked to my mom yesterday, and she told me how healing her dog has been for her. After our stepdad passed away, the house just felt so empty. But once she got her dog, that emptiness eased in a way. And now she has someone who's always excited to see her when she comes home every single day. And that makes such a difference. And it's not just for her either. They actually volunteer together, don't they?
Yeah, they go for walks, they visit elders in the nursing home. It's just amazing to see the joy they bring. And even our grandma, who is going on 92, loves her.
Yeah, she really does. She even lets her on her couch, and that just says it all. I
Mm.
remember when you got your first Frenchie, Igor, she told you he was the ugliest dog she's ever seen.
Yeah.
she...
She did change her mind after getting to know him, though. But she never liked the look of him. He looked a bit scary, I remember her saying. And I totally understand. A black Frenchie. But now she's really in love with all our dogs, luckily.
Yeah, I actually think they're so cute. But she always shoots from the hip, that one.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she thinks.
Well,
But then you also brought Selma, your other dog, to your workplace too, right?
I did. And how amazing is that? Imagine being able to bring your best friend to work. So when I started working again after losing my husband, I brought my dog with me almost every day. I was working in a small nursing care unit for elderly people, and my dog was such a joy for them, for the elderly and my coworkers. And the leader I had was so supportive of it. And honestly, you could see the residents' faces light up in the moment she walked into the room. So it was so amazing.
Yeah, that is such a blessing to be able to bring your bestie to work and to see the joy a dog can give. I've read that with dementia, for instance, a lot of people struggle with anxiety, restlessness, or feeling disconnected from their surroundings. And dogs can trigger what they call social memory, not facts or names, but the emotional memory of comfort and safety.
Hmm. And that is really powerful. And my dog also gave them the opportunity to care for someone. They had her in their lap, they pet her, they even sang to her and fed her from the table because she was always sitting with us when we had meals. And of course, she had her favorite resident who accidentally lost food on the floor every single time. So,
Accidentally, yeah.
yeah.
That is so cute. Imagine how much joy she brought. It's almost emotional to talk about, you know? Every single nursing home should have pets like that, a dog or a cat or something.
That is so true. They really should. There is so much therapy in having a pet around, and it's not just my experience, it's for real. Like I said before, interacting with a dog lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and increases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. And that combination basically tells your body you're safe and you're cared for. So I think that could be quite essential.
Yeah, for sure. And for people who are grieving, that's gold because grief often makes the body go into this fight or flight mode. even when you're just sitting still. Your heart rate is higher, you don't sleep well, you feel restless. And dogs kind of interrupt that stress cycle.
Yeah, for those of us grieving or just going through hard times, also, it's like a dog becomes an anchor in a way. They help regulate your nervous system, lower stress hormones, and give you a reason to get out of bed. No wonder they also serve as therapy dogs for real.
And the beauty is, it's not therapy in a formal way, it's just pure love. And maybe it also brings back memories to those who,
Yeah, those who had dogs before. You mean
yeah,
the elderly, maybe?
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. That's the thing. I saw that with the residents. They would start telling stories about the dogs they grew up with or had when they were raising kids. And suddenly they were alive with memories and such beauty. So
So
beautiful.
yeah, so the dog wasn't just comfort in the moment, it was also a doorway to their past, you can say.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's the thing about grief, too. A dog doesn't fix it, of course, but they remind you that life goes on. They nudge you to go outside. They curl up next to you when you cry, as I said. They pull you into the present moment when your mind is spinning.
That's beautifully said. And maybe that's why people say we don't deserve dogs, really.
Yeah, maybe. But honestly, I think we need them, especially when life gets heavy.
You mentioned service dogs, and it reminded me of my daughter's teacher. She just started high school this year, and this is sadly the school where one of the worst school shootings in America happened. A true nightmare. And afterwards, the teacher got a dog, and it's been coming to school with her ever since. And I'm pretty sure that class is now a favorite for so many students. They all love the dog, the teacher too, of course, but the dog brings them this calm, safe presence into the room and goes and curls up under their feet, my daughter says. Just so cute.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story about dogs and how they can comfort us. But school shootings, I can't even, I mean, it's horrible, just horrible.
Yeah,
But I'm so glad she found a way to return to teaching and that her dog helps her feel safe and supported while doing what she loves.
yeah, totally.
You know, I've been thinking a lot about dogs and grief lately after we decided to do an episode. And I think it's fascinating how much they can sense when we're not okay.
Yeah, it's almost eerie. Like we said before, dogs can actually smell the changes we have in our stress hormones and notice shifts in our body language before we're fully aware of it ourselves.
Hmm. I mean, dogs are incredibly tuned into human emotions. So when we grieve, they often mirror our behaviors. They're sleeping more, being quieter, even losing their appetite.
Which makes sense in a way because they form such a strong attachment bond with us.
Mhm.
It's not just projection, they really do feel the loss when someone in the family is gone.
Yeah, and grief for them isn't only about death. If their human moves away, for instance, or another pet they're attached to disappears, dogs can go through grief too. I read that scientists call it separation distress, and it shares similarities with human grief reactions. I've seen this in my own dogs.
Right. And from a neurological perspective, the attachment system in both dogs and humans are linked to oxytocin, like we mentioned before, the bonding hormone. And that's why comforting your dog when you're grieving can actually soothe both of you. Oxytocin levels rise on both sides.
It's such a two-way street. I remember after my husband passed, the dogs would curl up against me, and that rhythm of having them there probably helped regulate my nervous system. And now that we're gone a bit into the science,
Mm-hmm.
when I think about it now, it really shows that a dog can lower your heart rate and blood pressure even, which is especially important when grief throws your body into this stress mode.
Yeah, grief isn't just emotional, it's physiological. And dogs are like regulators. Some studies even compare them to co-therapists, just without the expensive hourly rate, though.
True. Though they do charge in treats and walks. But honestly, I think dogs can be anchors in grief. They keep you on a schedule, feeding them, walking them, which forces you to maintain some structure when life feels chaotic.
And that structure is therapeutic. I mean, there's a lot of evidence in psychology that routine and responsibility help people cope with loss. And dogs kind of build that into their life, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but it can also cut both ways. Losing a dog can be just as devastating as losing a person for some. I mean, some studies even show people experience disenfranchised grief, which we talked about before,
Mm-hmm.
where society doesn't fully acknowledge the loss when it comes to pets.
Yeah. And that can be really isolating. People might say it's just the dog, but the attachment bond is biologically real. Your body and brain grieve in very similar ways as when you lose a human loved one.
Which is why I think it's so important to normalize grieving pets also, because they're family. They help us through so many stages of life, including grief itself. But of course, I must say, after losing my husband, that is a different type of loss and grief. Dogs are family, yes, but they are also dogs, not humans. Just to make that clear, that's my opinion. And I wouldn't compare those two, but both are truly grief, of course.
I remember when you lost your dog, Chanel. Yes, they are called Igor and Chanel, the couple, power
Yes.
couple. Back in 2017, was it?
Mm.
And that was so hard for you. And also for your other dog, right? He changed a bit too after that, I remember.
Yeah, that was terrible. I think I cried for a week. And I remember my husband said to me that I needed to stop. Just stop now. But
Oh,
it was terrible. And yes, also our older dog grieved her. He became this very old and tired dog after she died. You know, didn't want to go for walks, didn't eat that much, and he went looking for her everywhere. So
yeah.
he was grieving her for sure.
Yeah, I remember he was getting a little depressed, poor guy.
Yeah.
But after some months, Selma, a new cutie Frenchie, came into your lives and she brought happiness back, right?
She did.
To everyone.
To everyone. Our old one became her overprotective dad. He loved her. And suddenly he was more vital and cheerful again. Such a team, those two. Cuties.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I do remember that. He became more youthful and playful. Like we
Mm.
were all sitting like, what is happening now? Why are you
Yeah.
running so much on your feet that hardly keeps you up?
Mm.
But they were so cute together. A slightly grumpy old man and a cozy, all over super happy girl. And I also remember them after your husband passed because they grieved him too, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. I remember when we came home for the last time, it was kind of like they understood the situation. They were calmer, closer. They sensed the whole atmosphere in a way. And after he passed, they both grieved. I could almost see that they waited for him somehow. And they were very protective over me, always close, always understanding,
Yeah, it's so sad, but also so beautiful, I must say.
Yeah, and comforting for sure.
And then in 2021, a year or so after your husband passed, you had to say goodbye to our oldest dog, Eagle, too. And he was over 15 years, which is really old. And yeah, so sad because he was such a big part of our family as well.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. I can't even think about it without tearing up. He was kind of my third son in a way. He'd been with us through so many chapters of life. So letting him go was really, really hard. But at the same time, he was old and I knew he had lived such a good and full life. And that, of course, gave me some comfort. And, at the time, luckily, my friend invited me to go on a vacation almost straight after we were gone for a whole week. And that gave me a little pause from the heaviness, a kind of a breathing space. It didn't take the grief away, of course, but it made those days a bit easier to carry. Because,
Yeah.
at that time, I had no tears left, kind of.
Mm-hmm. And also, like you said there, that you knew that he was old. It does feel a little bit more, I don't know what word I should say, but knowing that they lived a full, long, healthy, and happy life, that is kind of comforting in a way,
Yeah,
I think. Even with
because
humans, knowing that you lived a long, long life until you're really old and cute
yeah,
means that it's,
so
yeah.
true.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different story, and that's just life. But
Yeah,
it's sad, of course, but
of
a bit
course.
easier.
Yeah. And now they all have their graves at your special island, right?
Yes, they do.
So, in a way, dogs or pets, I must say, are companions in grief and also beings we grieve ourselves. And that's what makes the bond so powerful. The science just puts language to what we already feel in our hearts. They regulate us, they sense us, they comfort us. And when they're gone, it hurts so deeply because they weren't just dogs, they were family woven into our routines, our memories, and even our healing.
Yeah, exactly. They give us so much, and all they really ask in return is love. I think it's important to say that not everyone gets this. Some people just don't like dogs or pets in general. Can you imagine?
No, I can't. But maybe the reason for that is because they missed out on growing up with pets, maybe. Strict parents. I don't
Mhm.
know. Or maybe they had a bad experience with an animal in early life. We've heard of those. I don't know. Something must have gone wrong.
Yeah. Or, so to be fair, that is important to recognize. Pets are not for everyone. Not everyone gets that connection. And to be completely honest, I don't really get those people. I think there's something missing in them. Maybe some miss that animal loving gene because I got one too many. I actually sometimes prefer dogs or animals over most people.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Did you actually say that out loud? No shame whatsoever.
No shame, I'm serious. But I said most people, not all.
Okay. Good clarification. My sister, the animal lover.
Yes,
Yeah. So pets are not for everyone. It could also be allergies or whatever, though, we
of
must
course.
say. And we're also not encouraging people to just run out and get a dog or a cat as comfort either.
No, absolutely not. If you're wondering about getting a pet, you need to really consider what it means. You're taking responsibility for many, many years. It's the cost of food, vet bills, time, energy, effort, all of it. And if you don't have the time or the lifestyle for an animal, then don't do it. They need your care and your love every single day.
Yeah, they really do. And honestly, I would love to have a dog. My kids, or especially my son, is like a animal or dog whisperer. But my husband says no. I'm so mad. I get mad at thinking about it. Because I really think our kids are missing out when you can't grow up with a dog or a pet in the house like we did. But with all the moving around and the traveling, because we go to Norway every single summer, he says it just isn't possible. And yes, I guess he's right. Strict husband, but that's how it is. At least our kids get to hang around with other people's dogs and sheep and cows and cats and birds every time we're in Norway. And also here, of course, like a lot of our friends and neighbors has dogs, so we can dog sit for them. And now our entire family have dogs. It's only us that don't have them.
Yeah, that's true. And I also have to say this, if you're considering getting a pet, please consider reaching out to a rescue dog or cat. There are so many animals out there who needs a new home. You can even foster. And that's such a beautiful thing, to rescue an animal and give it a second chance. But only if you have the time, the energy, and the love to give.
Isn't there a saying now about COVID pets? Lots of pets out there now who needs new homes.
I've heard that a lot. During COVID, so many people got pets because they were stuck at home, not able to travel, not busy with their usual lives. And then when things opened up again, they suddenly didn't have the time for them anymore. And honestly, come on. I think that's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, because for the animals, it's not a temporary project, it's their whole life.
No, you can't just hand them back when your schedule changes. They're not a hobby, they're family.
And maybe that's the real takeaway from this. Pets aren't for everyone, and that's okay. Because if you don't have the time, the energy, or the love to give, and even the money to spend, because it does cost money, then it's just not fair to the animal.
Right. They really need you fully every single day. And if you do have that space in your life, then it's the most rewarding thing, especially when you think about how many rescue dogs and cats are out there waiting for a home. To give one of them a second chance, that is just pure love in action.
And when you do, they don't just become part of your life, they become family. They sense your emotions, they walk with you through your hardest days, and in return, you carry them through theirs.
Yeah, and that's the bond. And it's why the grief feels so deep when they're gone, also, because the love was real and it stays with you even after they've left. Of course, it does.
Exactly. Pets might not be for everyone, but for those who let them in, they truly change the shape of our lives. Before we close today, we should probably thank our mom, our sweet mama, because it was actually her idea that we should do an episode about pets and grief.
Yes. Thank you, Mama. And she is right, though. It's such an important topic. And honestly, it's been really interesting for us too. We found so much positive research about how dogs and pets can affect our health and well being. And it's been fun to mix that with our own stories.
Yeah, I didn't expect us to end up talking about oxytocin and heart rates and all that science. But it makes sense, doesn't it? Pets don't just feel nice to have, they actually change us physically and emotionally.
And for me personally, I just feel grateful. Grateful that I've had my dogs by my side through so many of the hardest times. They've been my anchors, companions, and even little therapist on four legs.
So true. And at the same time, as we also said, pets aren't for everyone, and they definitely aren't something you just pick up because you're lonely or bored. They need your time and love and commitment.
Yeah. And for those who do welcome them in, well, then you know how much they can mean. And I hope even listeners who don't have pets have found this conversation a bit interesting, maybe even learned a thing or two about our four-legged lifesavers.
Exactly. Whether you're a dog person, a cat person, fish person, bird person, I don't know. Mice, that's a thing also.
Mm.
Well, not really a pet person at all. I think we can all agree these animals have a pretty extraordinary way of touching our lives.
And our grief. And our healing. The most important one.
Yes. So thank you for listening, and give your dog or cat or rabbit a little extra love from us today.
Yes. Until next time. Bye-bye.
And then I'm going to work on my husband for now.
Good luck on that.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Nina had a dream, all black and white. We were talking in English, yeah, that ain't right. Two Norwegian sisters miles apart, but that dream lit a fire, put a mic to the heart. Katrine's in the States, Nina's back home. Two voices, one mission through the microphone. Grief and life, the highs and the lows. We hit record, uh-oh, where the file go? Oh, we fumble, we stumble, but baby we shine. Lost the intro, never mind. Wi-Fi shaky, cables crossed, but our hearts stay strong, no moment lost. From a dream to the mic, now the world can hear. Two sisters telling truths with a laugh and a tear. We live, we learn, we sip, we sigh. Talking love, talking lost, let the echoes fly. Grief walks in, pulls up a chair, says I'll stay a while, yeah, life ain't fair. But we mix it with laughter, a toast in hand, finding light where the dark still stands. Ba-da-da-boo-doo, is this thing on? Mic's on mute, oh well, move along. Ba-ba-dee, ba-ba-da, take two. Oops, too late, let's laugh it through. From a dream to the mic, now the world can hear. Two sisters telling truths with a laugh and a tear. We live, we learn, we sip, we sigh. Talking love, talking lost, let the echoes fly. So plug in, lean in, let's take our time. No script, no filters, just rhythm and rhyme. We're here, we're now, we're in our prime. Two sisters, one dream, on the mic we shine.